Mr. Terry Leighton, thank you for flying over to Melbourne and joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Very much appreciate your time. We're just going to talk about your evolution as a punter and where you got started and how you go about it today, and see if we can inspire some people to bet on horses for a living, which you do professionally. It's not recommended by career counsellors too much. I don't remember getting that speech back in high school.
No.
So it's a pretty different profession. How did you find your way doing that?
Well, my interest in the racing industry probably started from my dad. I'm not one of those people who grew up with jockey mates or basically friends with anyone really closely associated to the industry.
Yep.
So my old man was always involved to some degree, hung around in circles when he lived in Sydney, some of the dodgier circles back in the day. We'll go into later maybe. So my passion for it basically came from him. From a punting perspective, he was a battler on the punt. So I sort of got to a point in my early 20s where I thought I either want to be good at this or I probably don't want to do it quite as much, to be honest with you. So it went in one direction from there.
Yeah, right. So what did you finish high school and just deep dive into it? Was it uni? Like, what happened there?
I finished high school, went travelling for a year.
Yep.
I ended up in Blackpool, of all places, and travelled around Europe and whatnot.
Yeah.
Didn't punt too much while we were doing all that. Came back, went to university, battled around at a few jobs. Didn't actually finish uni. It just was never, my heart was never really in it in that sense. Always had a big affiliation with numbers.
Yeah.
Not so much data, but the numbers, percentages side of things. And a friend of mine who at the time was a budding professional sports punter said to me, why don't you start recording everything you do?
Yeah.
And I think we all go into that, I went into that with a fair bit of trepidation and doubt that I'd actually produce a profit and definitely not produce anything long term, but the results trended in a positive manner, and basically it was a work in progress as we progressed, and again, here we sit today.
So you're just pickling around, just having 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks on things, and then recording, and you're like, hang on, I'm chopping out or I'm earning a small earn here, why don't I spend more time on it?
Exactly right. Yeah, I still remember my first bet was 15 wins and 35 places, and that was we went halves and everything, me and him. So I had $7.50 and $17.50 on the place. The horse, it was about 10 to 1. It won the race. It won as I thought it would, and I always think of that as one of my most important wins on the punt. It sort of gave us a head start in our first spreadsheet of recording, and it gave us some belief. It gave me some belief going forward that I could actually make it work.
And how long ago was that? Is this
7 years? 7 years ago. Yeah, I quit my job. I had 4 years of data before quitting my full-time job, and I've now been punting full-time for 3 years.
Yeah, wow.
Yep.
Okay. And you just knew at a certain point, you're like, the income's significant here. I've been doing it for long enough. I can then quit what else I'm doing and just focus exclusively on this. Yeah,
exactly right. I was spending I guess quite a few hours at work as well. Probably shouldn't tell them that. Hope they're not watching. Sorry, guys. While doing that, and then going home and spending another 30 hours a week. So I just basically figured out if I had an extra 40, 50 hours a week to dedicate to country form, mostly, that's where the point of difference was going to be. I mean, a lot of the metro form and the Wednesday and your Saturday form is quite straightforward, especially these days with a lot more data available to people. Mm-hmm. But it's your country form, I think, where there is a strong edge for me.
Yeah, and that's still the case today?
More so than ever, yeah.
Wow.
Probably more so than ever. I go through waves with my punting. I'm not the usual punter that relies on IVR data and all your standard data that the majority, I'd say 95% of professionals do.
Yeah.
But that's what works for me. And that's how I've sort of grown what I do and continue to try to grow what I do.
Which is my next question, because we've talked about this before. You're not a big data guru, and you're not as, take notes and have all of the punting form subscriptions and everything else. So what do you do? How do you know the fast horses from the slow, and who's got improvement in it?
I think probably my biggest strength in that sense, and the thing I think is probably the most important thing whenever people ask me what they should do or look for, I think people want very simple answers like a jockey change or first up, second up. But for me, every horse has its own personality. Every horse has its own individual characteristic, and I am probably the biggest WA racing nerd there is. That's the thing. I really live and breathe what I do. Some people. So I begin every week. By reviewing the meets from the previous week that I hadn't yet reviewed.
Okay.
And I blackbook the runners who I see fault in. Some of those ones, I mean, there's the obvious ones that are held up the entire straight. There's the obvious ones that go too fast out in front. There's your obvious black bookers that 99% of people find, but it's the ones where you go, well, that looked to have every chance, or that doesn't seem to be that unlucky, but I know that horse and I know that was ridden against its strength. So it might take 4 bad, unlucky runs in a row, or it might be remembering a run from X period of time ago, but it's, there's a lot stored in there. Not much else, but there's a lot stored up top, basically.
How, like, in front of a computer screen, are you putting notes, or is this literally catalogued in your head?
Yeah, I write the names in my black book. I keep my data with track pattern, which is really important in WA. There tends to be strong lane bias. There tend to be strong wind bias, especially at Ascot.
Right.
So that's important data to keep. But in regards to the actual black book and remembering of horses themselves, I just record the names and I remember why they're in there, basically.
Yeah, wow. And then I suppose just backtracking, you're betting exclusively on WA?
Yes.
Because you're a local and you just think this is my backyard and I'm just going to know everything about this space?
I don't even watch the races over East, to be honest with you. So no.
What about when the WA things come over?
Yeah, I watch them. Yeah, watch them. Go Pikey, a really big ride home on Regal Power.
Yes.
The other day, that was huge.
Yeah.
But no, I don't even watch them. And I think that's one of my strengths. I spend that much time. I'd be doing the best part of 70 hours a week, I reckon, for me. Sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. I mean, I love what I do, and I'm not going to complain, but it can at times be quite heavy. So to add any more workload with interstate racing would be just it'd be an impossibility, basically.
So breaking down that 70 hours, obviously, I don't know, 15 to 20 of it's probably in front of the markets and betting.
Yep.
Maybe more?
Yeah, probably less. I'm really comfortable. So basically my week is on a Monday morning, my work week at least is on a Monday morning. As I said, I'll review all of the meetings, and I know when markets are released for each meeting. So Wednesday comes out at about 9 or 10 o'clock Western Standard Time. So I need to have all my form done by that point. So I work through every race in detail. It's probably 15 pages worth that I write for myself. It's just about a full publication for every single meeting.
Yeah.
I mark all the horses, which can obviously change the meeting progresses. And I bet accordingly into those markets, basically.
Right. And are you referring to your notes all the time, or you're just writing it down so that you catalogue it in your head?
Yeah, I refer to the notes quite a lot, but when it actually comes to a meeting, I'm quite happy to go out and socialise a lot of the time. I'm quite happy to go out and do what I need to do because I've done the form, I can refer to that. The only thing is with WA racing, things change, and probably racing nationally, things change pretty quickly in regards to track patterns, so it's important to obviously stay on top of that. But all in all, the work's done 2 days out from every single meeting, basically. Right.
And when you're saying you're doing all the form and you've got all your notes and you're interpreting that, are you turning those into rated prices for each meet?
Yes. Every I rate every race to basically 100%.
Okay.
Happy betting pre-post. I'm very opinionated, as I don't really shy from. So all of my rated prices are very opinionated. Right. The majority of the time I know which horse I'm going to end up on when I price it, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're surprised. People often say to me, what do you like for a meeting on Sunday? And I said, I haven't sat down. And they say, can't you just look at the fields?
Yeah.
I said, I can have a look at the fields and find things that might have been in the black book or I've been waiting to run, but I need to sit down and analyse every aspect of the race. So every race can take up to an hour, even longer, especially in the country.
So when you're reviewing them too, are you just going through the footage? You're just watching the replay of the race over and over again?
Yeah, I can watch it up to 10 times, depending how many times I want to watch a certain horse. Jockey body language is important as well.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of jockeys in Perth who sort of give up the ghost a long way from home once they know they're done. So instead of the margin of victory being 3 lengths or 4 lengths, it can be 8 or 9 lengths. And that means next start, instead of getting 11 to 1 the horse, you're getting $30 about it or something of that nature. So there's little sort of idiosyncrasies, I think, which I've sort of picked up along the way. I mentally record betting moves from different stables.
Okay.
Sometimes a big betting drift one start can mean that there's something big happening at its next start.
I love it.
Each stable and each ownership group have their own just sort of idiosyncrasies in regards to how they like to make a quid. 100%. Yeah.
I love it.
Mate, we don't call us the Wild West for nothing.
Yeah, beautiful. I got my start actually being working in Sporting Bet up in Darwin, and some of the mail that used to come through in Perth, the boys would be working from 8 to 5 and we'd stay until 9 o'clock at night because the mail was that high. And we love Ascot racing so much. So I can certainly speak to that, and good to hear a few traditions are going on. I'm not sure if I can encourage that as a Betfair employee, but anyway, I love it. Okay, so WA exclusively. What about when they come over? Are you patriotically backing them? Do you know how they stack up versus Eastern horses?
No, I don't. Basically, I have next to no idea how they stack up. Am I patriotically backing them? Occasionally, yes.
Yeah.
You have an idea at times. I backed Regal Power in its last two,
Yeah.
but I would say that is purely mug punting. I would not be making money betting in the East at all.
All right.
100%.
Yeah. Going back west then, let's talk about the jockey biases there. That's such a topical thing about WA, none bigger than Willie Pike. He probably dominates his region more than any jockey in Australia. And Jade McNaught gets a good following too.
She does.
She's getting a lot of money back behind her these days. How do you sort of view them, and does that skew your betting at all?
Yeah, it does. I mean, the importance of Pike on a runner probably can't be understated. A lot of people feel that his horses start under the odds, and often they do. Pike's strength, as most people would know, Pike's strengths on horses that take a sit and are ridden patiently.
Yeah.
Pike on a leader can start well under the odds because he's not necessarily, you just about prefer Jade McNaught on a leader than William Pike on a leader type thing. So it's just about weeding out when Pike's runners are under the odds, when they're over the odds. It's just one of the many sort of little nitpicking things we do in WA racing, I guess.
And what about Jade? How do you view her? Will you want her on a leader or?
100%, yeah. Jade had a good period of time where she was stronger than she's probably currently riding at the moment, losing a claim. It's a big confidence thing. One of my favourite sayings in racing is, and I even say it as a punter, which probably doesn't make a great deal of sense, is horses run for you at times.
Yeah.
And there's periods where horses just seem to go better for you. It's not anything you can really quantify. It's confidence in your riding. It's strength in your hands. It's just basically confidence. It comes down to that. And I really believe in momentum and following trends of stables, following trends of jockeys. If someone's down and out, you need to be careful because more often than not, it takes them a while for that to turn around. So, and Jade went through a period like that not long ago.
Plenty for punters to take away from this. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming to Melbourne. And yeah, thanks again, Tez. And lots of stuff on the hub. Anytime you want to get Terry, we humbug him for content on the hub. So keep popping back there.